Hi, this video demonstrates the Bitcoin e-commerce payment provider plugin for the e-commerce standard concrete5 plugin. First stage we're going to hit with the install. Now that we've installed it, we need to activate it as a payment method with the shop. Now, the Bitcoin method is the label that will appear when someone comes to check out from your store. So either PayPal, Bitcoin method, Sage Pay, any other payment methods that you have installed. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to install it. And this is the receiving address that you need to have. Now I've got one already pasted onto my clipboard that I'm going to be using. So all payments that are received through the website will ultimately end up in this box. And because we're using the blockchain API, the blockchain API generates lots of different payment addresses, which you'll see when we go through. So if you just remember that this one begins 1CE. Now, we're going to run it in test mode, and we're going to work on the basis that we're using US dollars. But it doesn't matter, because we're in test mode, all transactions will be on a minimum figure of 0.0005 Bitcoins. So this is the number of confirmations required before a transaction is considered live. If you're familiar with the Bitcoin system, then you know that normally a transaction is validated pretty quickly on the blockchain, but you require a set number of confirmations before you're happy that it's to go live. In most cases, I feel that 1, 2, or 3 confirmations should be good enough, but it does depend on the value of the item that you're selling. So let's save it and test it. So let's find something in our catalog. I've installed the dummy data from the e-commerce install. So we'll have a quick rig ready, add him to the cart, and we're ready to check out. Address details already filled in. We'll use the same billing address, and then we'll go to the next section. Now in this section you select Bitcoin payment method. Now as soon as you're ready to pay, hit the Pay Now tab. And as you can see, because we're in test mode, 18 US dollars should really be 0.0768 Bitcoins with the current value of 1 Bitcoin at $234. However, because we're in test mode, all transactions are 0.0005. But this is the address that we need to see. Now, as you saw in the previous example, my address is 1CE, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to go off screen on this one. I'm just going to copy that address and send some money to that address. So here we go. And as you can see, the payment has been received and the order has been confirmed. So if we go to the dashboard, you'll see that there is a pending invoice here. Initially it is pending until it gets the required number of validations, and then it will change the status. So as you can see, this one here took about 15 minutes to be authorized, because it relies on the blockchain API to validate the transaction, but that detail has now been authorized. One thing we'd like to add to the e-commerce basket is the ability to get feedback on what the transaction is actually doing. As you can see from this previous transaction, it took about 15 minutes for the order to be authorized, and whilst the order is shown as pending, you don't really know what the status is, and you can't see what's going on with the actual order, and there's no fields that we can use here. So we've added a field which is called the DS Bitcoin Notes, which can be added in so that you can actually get a little bit more information. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add that in manually, and then we can see how that actually looks if we do another transaction in a minute. So the first thing first, go to the dashboard, click Settings, select the order attributes, and we want to add an attribute. We're going to add a text area, and we are going to call this one the DS order notes. We can put it into the billing details or shipping details. It's entirely up to you. Unfortunately, it has to be present on the front end of the shopping basket. So we'll leave the order as plain text and add it. Now, as you can see, the notes connected with your order box does appear here. Now, there's nothing to stop someone saying here, please leave under the mat, for example. When you actually click in here, you can actually see the note from the customer, please leave under the mat. And of course you can see this 2/28 May test mode, order initiated for $18 on B2C. Again, because we're in test mode, it doesn't actually, the calculation is what we should have paid rather than what it actually is. And we can see that the order is acknowledged on blockchain, which means you've got a little bit more information to help you with processing these transactions. What I'll do is I'll come back in about 15 minutes, refresh the page and show you what we should be looking at here. Okay, I just refreshed the page on this particular one, and as you can see, 232, the order was authorized. So basically it's had its one confirmation.